Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, then you are listening to an unsociable hour, which makes me Matthew Elliott White. This show exists to introduce you to awesome people, and tonight's awesome person is LiAM JARViS. LiAM, thank you for joining me this evening. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, anytime, man. It's going to be a pleasure. It's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it.
Good. Before we start, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm perfectly fine. I'm having a good time. Well, I've more or less been like, welcome to quarantine. So it's been 3 months of the inside land. It's not been great. I left the house the first time today in 3 months and was like, wow, it's sunny.
Wow, in this weather as well.
Well, I needed to do something. So I was like, you know what, I'll walk for like an hour and then, Jesus Christ, it was fucking crazy warm.
It is red hot, man. It's got to be a nightmare. But at least obviously now you're kind of stepping out of lockdown to some degree. What effect has the lockdown had on you?
Me personally, not much. If anything, it's let me have like time off work so I can, time off from doing business stuff just so I can play video games and catch up on those. If we ignore the 600 hours I've got on Final Fantasy 14, I've definitely been playing other games. Promise me. I promise you.
Dude, I don't blame you at all. LiAM, some people spend their whole lives wishing they took the kind of chance that you decided to take. So, could you introduce yourself to the listeners and give them an idea of the great work that you do?
I wouldn't say my work's great, but I'd say it's up there with. It is an achievement. I'm not going to discredit myself for something that's actually done well. So I on a whim decided I had a bunch of gaming equipment anyway because I collected it for years. Something about being a hoarder. So I decided. Well, it was me and a friend, and we decided, this place is open. The rent's fairly cheap. Do you want to go for it? And I think it's the first time in my life without hesitation I went, you know what, yeah, let's do it. I didn't even think about it, I just went for it, and it's like, it was more as like, it was a new adventure and I'm willing to do it, it wasn't like a dream of mine to do it, it was more of a case of, I'm a kind of guy where it's like, having the one dream sometimes doesn't always work, so doing something and then finding out if that's something you really want to do and then stick with that. And I think that's what I've got with my shop now. I think it wasn't my dream at first, but now it's my dream to keep it going for as long as I actually can.
Yeah. So it's called Retro Play Games.
Yeah, Retro Play Games. So it was first going to start off as kind of like just focusing solely on like retro games by the name. But then I decided I've got like other hobbies, so I play card games and board games. So I was like, yeah, we'll just find space for that. So at the start of the shop it was like a lot of consoles. I'm talking all the way back to like Atari and then like onwards to like Xbox Ones. But then I was like, I'm going to slimline it a bit because then there's more space for board games and card games. Because I think at the time it made more sense because card games and board games are a very niche market, but they'd make more money than someone coming in to play on like a console.
Yeah, of course.
But it was more so the start. It was mainly that, and then we changed it, and then we got an arcade machine, which plays all the Neo Geo stuff. So like King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Metal Slug, all of that stuff. That's there, and the plan is to hopefully I have a DDR machine in a lockup, and I really, really want to fix it up because I think I know what the problem is, but I don't know how to fix it. So I'm gonna have to have someone looking at that. But can you just imagine like a DDR machine in somewhere in like Mansfield? Like, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna love it. It's been sitting in a lockup for like 3 years, so I need to check if it actually like still powers on. Never mind, like works.
So how long have you been running the shop?
It's almost 3 years. It's 3 years in August. Which is crazy, considering I think it's gone by super quick. Like, I was 24 when I started the shop. I'm now 27. I honestly don't think 3 years have gone by that quick, but apparently they have. It's crazy.
I cannot imagine starting my own business, let alone at 24 years old, man. Okay, we'll get into that. What I'm going to ask is where did the passion for video games come from?
When I was a 4-year-old boy and I first turned on Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, yes.
That's what did it for me. I was like, wow, video games are great. And so when I was a kid, we got a second-hand Mega Drive. And the games we had on it were Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Toe Jam and Earl, Panic on Funkotron, and The Lion King.
Oh.
The Lion King is the first game I ever completed at the age of 4. And I remember my eldest sister not believing me that I completed it. So then I completed it again while she was in the room just to prove a point. And 4-year-olds are adamant that they're right, so I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove myself, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, back then, for some of the younger listeners, back then, I mean, you could finish games. If you had the skill, you could finish games in, 4 hours?
Yeah.
Maybe even less. I'm sure the first Sonic the Hedgehog game really actually took about 2.5 hours to complete.
It can take less, because there's I think there's I can't remember. I think it's a 2-act game, so there's like 1 act and act 2, and because there's just those, you could just go done this, right, beat the boss, cool, and then that's it. I think you can definitely do that game in under an hour if you're good enough. I've seen speedruns that do it in under 30 minutes, and I'm like, good Jesus Christ, I can't do that. I probably could if I put time into it, but it's it's not Sonic 2. I feel like that would be the one I'd have to do. But yeah, it's crazy. The thing is the difference between older games back then is the older games back then could be simpler. There was nothing more simple than just running to the right and having the time of your life. That's how simple it was back then. But nowadays, it's all powered by graphics and gameplay.
Yeah, no, totally. I am still to this day a fan of linear gaming as opposed to open world, because I find that if I'm in an open world setting, an open world environment, I am not likely to follow the story at all. I'll just spend hours just wandering around doing unimportant stuff, wasting my time.
I mean, that sounds like you're a Shenmue player. Or a Yakuza player.
Be very careful.
No, it's fine. You're just going to no, I love the games. I'm one of those people. It's I mean, I could go continue with the story, but this karaoke, I should probably go do that.
I don't know who I would be without Shenmue or Yakuza. I don't think.
I think I'm in the same boat with Shenmue. I think Yakuza to me is it feels so spiritual successory of Shenmue.
Yeah.
But the Yakuza games are still really good. I'm not going to knock them. They are fantastic games.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like Yakuza kind of took the idea from Shenmue and kind of made it better, by 100%, 110%.
I do agree. I can't disagree on that. Shenmue's gameplay was a bit. Yeah, I mean, looking at a can
nostalgic.
Going, wow, and then drinking again. It's wow, this is a fantastic 20-second cutscene that's taken up my time. But it's cool. I'm 12 years old, and I'm just enjoying the game.
Is it wrong, or is it bad that I've gone kind of full circle in terms of the voiceovers? So when I first played it, I thought, oh God, and then it got to the point where you realised it was really bad, it was really shit.
Yeah.
But now the nostalgia's taken over even more. So now when I play it, I somewhat enjoy it. And now I think it's actually, I don't understand what anybody's on about. It's a great dub.
I mean, it does depend, because then you get characters like Tom who try and speak with the weirdest Jamaican accent you'll ever see, and it's what is this? What is going on?
The most racist stereotype.
Oh yeah,
of a Jamaican guy selling hot dogs.
What's going on? At least he's teaches you a super cool kick before he jet sets to America. At least there's that.
He does. So, what was your favorite video game growing up?
I mean, I think growing up, I saw the Mega Drive for yonks until I finally got a PlayStation 1. So I think for a while it was still Sonic. I think even today, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is still probably my favorite game, because when it's something that introduces you to it, it's something that has a special place. So you kind of just have to. You don't have to like it, but I think it's one of those I do, because it's the one game that I look at and go back to and go, damn. It's the same experience I had when I was a kid, kind of thing. I'll always enjoy the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 would be. Yeah, I'd say Sonic. It's got to be Sonic.
That's a solid choice, dude. So when did the decision to combine the passion and your love for video games and the desire to kind of work for yourself?
So it kind of mainly started because I used to do dead end jobs in like warehouses and stuff. And I was like, I kind of got really sick of being told what to do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think it's worse when you know that you're doing it, but then you get told that you're not doing it right. But
yeah,
you're doing it exactly the same way that you have been doing. And then they tell you to do it and it's the same way. I think it's like, I don't, like, there are some like people in managerial positions I have respect for that can actually do their job. But I think it was more of a case of it kind of just, I had like, I was unemployed for like 6 months. And then I was like, you know what, I need to do something. So my friend suggested that we start a business together. And from then on, it's kind of gone on. I did used to do some streaming stuff as well. So I did some stuff for Konami. They paid me money, and I ran like live streams for 2 Australian events and 3 UK events, I think. Yeah, 3 UK events, and I really enjoyed it. But then I think after that, I think it was like I wanted to just do something else because I'm all about new experiences. Yeah. So I was like, the opportunity was there, and I just took it. I grabbed it. I think the passion for video gaming, I think it was something that I've wanted to just give people access to video games because they're amazing. Well, not all video games are amazing, but you know, the majority of video games that I want to like let people come in and play are the older ones that like nowadays would just be seen as retro, which, you know, that's the name of the store. But it's nice to give like kids the opportunity of like 8-year-old kids the chance to see what it was like for me when I was 8 and the technology difference between like then and now. Yeah. I think that was the main point is like, it's not like the whole, kids have it lucky these days kind of ideal. It's like it's an eye-opener when you see like a kid go back and play like Mario 64 for like 3 hours straight because he's really enjoying it, but he's just played Fortnite for like 30 minutes. And it's like, it's the parallel of like old games are still great because even the younger audiences of today are still going to play them.
Yeah, 100%. What reaction do you tend to get, you know, from the kids kind of coming in and like seeing, because I imagine I have a little brother and there have been times where I've kind of introduced him and showed him cartridges from the Mega Drive and things like that, and I've tried to explain that, or floppy disks from the do you know what I mean? And
Windows 98, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it just kind of blows his mind, and he can't, and it's hard. It must be so hard to convey life before them, especially kind of in a shop where you must have everything pretty much. So what reaction do you tend to get from the kids?
It's so some of them understand about cartridges because a lot of them tend to a lot of them are quite like a lot of the nerdy kids will just be like already have experience in it. It's like, oh, could you show me like a Nintendo 64 cartridge or something? It's like, yeah, there you go. But there are kids that have only just started playing from like Xbox One, and then when they're like, what are these consoles? You're like, oh, that's a Nintendo Entertainment System, and they're like, how's it work? Where'd you put the disc in? And it's like, oh, I'm about to take you on a history lesson. And then you go in the back, you pull out the NES cartridge, you slap in Mega Man 2, and they're like, what is this game? Why does the controller only have 2 buttons? What's going on? And it's like, that's how it is. That's how it was. Like, it was just, Mega Man was just jump and shoot, man. Like, that's all it is. Jump with that one, shoot with that one. It's that simple. I think it's like, I like the phrase like less is more. I feel like simpler games vibe with me a lot more. I say that, but I do spend too many hours playing RPGs. But I think the thing is I either like games that are quick, or I either like games that are long, and I don't like the in between.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much hard work must kind of go into starting your own business, let alone when you take into account things like the financial aspect, the doubt, the worry, the actual kind of physical stress of maintaining and running it. How scary is it to start your own business?
I would say very. I think it's mainly, it's not like the financial aspect per se. I think that is a part of the worry, but I think the main worry is the first few months you're like, because you've just started and you're like, in a shop-based thing, you're like, I've just started, like, who is going to come in? And you just constantly, like, worry. But then, like, when it starts kicking off, the worry slightly eases, and then you're like, oh, this is cool. And then you remember you've got bills to pay and the worry comes back. But I think it depends, because I think I've been fairly lucky, because I think because I'm like an open guy. Like I'll welcome anyone. I'll say hi to anyone.
Yeah.
I kind of have the aura of like a friendly aura. So if someone, even though I'm like built like a brick shit house, it's like you've seen me at cons where it's like, damn, he's so nice, and it's like that's just the thing I have is like I'm like one of the least toxic people you'll ever meet, and I think that can be portrayed to customers because they'll be like, oh, this guy's like super open. He's not being an arsehole towards me, like that kind of thing. And I think that really helps. I think having the correct personality can help in like a storefront business because I mean I don't have any workers, but I imagine if I did, they wouldn't hate me. Like unless I didn't pay them, and then that's a perfectly understandable reason to hate me.
Also, that is a number one reason to get people to hate you. Dude, you are. Like, I've said this to you countless times. You are one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Thank you very much.
I think you are brilliant in every sense. So I'm glad, and I'm glad that you kind of had this idea. You and your friend, you had this idea. You brought it to fruition, and I've got to say, man, one of the most amazing things about it has got to be the thought of you're running a place where people come to see their friends and hang out. You essentially run a hangout. English. You essentially run a hangout spot.
Mm.
There'll be people that will be talking about your shop in terms of that's where they're going to meet.
Yeah, that is a big one as well. I think there's been a lot of close friends I've met recently through the shop. They're like 7 years younger than me, but we have like the same sort of energy. We're just like, honestly, secretly I'm a gremlin, and we all have like this gremlin energy. But we've got on really well, and obviously there's been a lot of other people that come into the shop, and I've got on with them. Magic players. I got the lucky thing about it is I used to run like a Yu-Gi-Oh club thing back when I was like 15, 16 in like a local pub.
Okay.
And so a lot of the people who used to go to that then started coming to my shop. So I had that going for me, and that was the main thing at that point was genuinely doing well because of my previous relationships with people.
Yeah,
and I still have those relationships with those people. I still talk to them regularly. So it's nice. It's nice to know that like there's points in my life where I will look back and regret, but anything past the age of 16, I haven't, because I've got to this point in my life where I'm like, I don't need regrets. Like, yeah, maybe one time I'll be like, damn, I regretted getting the thing for the shop, but I know at some point someone will buy it, so the regret just goes. But it's nice to know and just live with a life where your regrets are minimal, because you just feel like you're in the perfect environment for you, and you feel like you've just got it spot on, and it's nice to have that feeling.
Yeah. Have you ever stopped to think that there might be people out there one day whose the story of how they got married actually starts with them meeting in your shop?
Actually, yeah, I have thought about that. There has been like a lot of like certain like occasions where stuff's happened. Like there's been a lot of friends that have sort of obviously are now friends because they've come to my shop. It's like I've got one friend group and they met with another friend group and now they're friends, and it's like I like introducing people to people. I think it's one of my favorite things to do, because I'm only going to ever introduce people I know that are good to other people I know that are good. Yeah. Like if someone's toxic, I'm probably not going to like try and squeeze them into a friend group that, no one's going to like them, and it is difficult for like some people that don't have friends. Like I feel that's the thing. But like there are some people that have come into the shop, not had friends, and then left the shop that day and then gained friendships. And that's honestly some of the proudest stuff I can say, is that I've helped people make friends. And it's honestly, it is a proud moment of my life.
You've created a community, essentially. You've created a place where like-minded people come together and could be around people that feel the same way. And that is amazing, man. That is amazing.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions now. It's kind of like flip sides of a coin.
That's fine. Tails every time, never fails.
and it's mainly because I think this will be quite interesting. So one of the questions I want to ask is, as the owner,
yep,
what do you think is the best service you provide?
As much as I'm the owner, I feel like, I mean, the best service I can provide is just being me. Like, I think if I'm open with people, it helps. Yeah, it's kind of a difficult question to answer, because if I never truly see myself as the owner, even though I am, I think it actually helps, because if I'm just there like, I might own this place, but I'm still going to like talk to you and bond with you and still be your friend. I think that helps, because a lot of people expect that if you own your own business, you're probably not going to talk to like the lesser folk or anything. But with me, that's not the case, because I see it as more of like if someone else had done this in my shoes, I'd try and support them, and a lot of the time people help support me while I'm doing it. But I think the only thing that I have as an owner is a name I can put on like a bill, so I can pay for like water or electricity or anything like that. It's just the name is enough for me to get the product, and I think that's the only real thing that I think as an owner I actually care about.
Okay, I'll hit you with the other side. So the other side of the coin would be, what if you were the customer?
If I was the customer and came into my shop,
yes,
I'd leave. I'd leave.
with absolutely no affiliation. If you kind of were a customer, you personally, what in your shop are you most proud of? That could be a game, that could be a certain like a service, anything. Like, if you as an individual walked into your shop, what is the thing that would impress you the most?
I think honestly, the thing that would impress me the most is the community, because like there's people that walk in, see like 12 people just joking around with each other, and they're like, yeah, this place is great because there's people already there. And obviously, as much as I can like stock product, if I join in on the banter or just like have a bit of fun with them, I think it helps. But as a customer, I genuinely think it's walking in, seeing seeing like all the nerdy memorabilia would probably help. But I think if I wasn't into that, or I wanted to get into that, I think the main thing that wouldn't be the amount of stuff that I have on offer. It would be the amount of people that they could talk to, because a lot of people in the sort of like nerdy community don't like. I don't know that many people that have friends that aren't online. So I think having the real presence of someone there really, really does help.
Yeah, that's a great answer, man. That's a great answer. If you could add, no, actually, what would be your dream purchase for the store? Like, if you could add one thing to it, what would you add to it?
I would honestly, if I could, I'd make it. I'd have a bar. I think alcoholic gaming sessions would be great. But I think that's the one thing I'd want. Genuinely, it's just a bar, because I think having fun while playing on video games, but also being drunk, just makes it just a crazy situation. I'm not saying go out and get drunk, but I'm saying that like it. I think it's one of those things that I would like to try, just because people tend to open up more when they're drunk, and I think the community, it'd help build the community even more if people were drunk.
Yeah,
but only to like only for like one pint. Like after one pint, most people open up a bit more to like anyone, because that's the thing. But I think genuinely, a bar. I'd love a bar.
I do not blame you at all. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. But that is that
I
is great.
like like, I don't know, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or like a really big, like a Mario Kart machine or something. But no, it's genuinely just a bar.
That's awesome, though. I mean, the truth is, and you know, I mean, everybody that's been on the podcast, and most people that listen to it, I would assume, kind of understand that drinking and stuff brings a lot more to the table. So I do think that if you were to do that, you'd probably find that some of your clientele would change. Also, you might find people that would kind of come in to kind of have a drink and look around, but not maybe purely be into gaming. You'd probably get a few more casuals, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, casuals are fine, because eventually you can open up casuals to being nerdy, because like a lot of the time someone will walk to the shop and be like, oh, you know, I'm not really into this stuff, but I'll give it a try, and then they'll like it. But having the extra thing of like, there's a bar and also an arcade cabinet, people are like, oh my god, yeah, cool, let's go play some fighting games while we're incredibly intoxicated. And it's just, it doesn't matter who wins or loses, because you're just drunk and you're just having a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have any, or no, I'm not going to say do you have, what is your future ambition for your shop? What would you like to see it become? Or, for example, if you could open like a sister retro play game shop, where would you want it?
I think the one thing I'm after genuinely is a bigger venue, but obviously a bigger venue in like a town is quite difficult because the rent's really expensive, and it's hard to kind of hit like the profit margin to be able to sort of do that.
Yeah.
But I think if the business actually starts like mega booming, then I would genuinely consider changing to a bigger venue, and then probably get like more arcade machines and stuff. Make it more of like a sort of like an arcade gaming bar kind of thing. I think that's the end goal, is to like have the bar, have the games, have everything, and just be able to like control it from there and just make a giant community. Is what it is like the end goal. But I think it's kind of one of those that's like, it's not a pipe dream. I think it is achievable, but I just need to stick to it, and eventually it'll happen.
Yeah. Where would you? Do you think you'd stay local in Nottinghamshire, or would you like to branch out if you were to upgrade to a bigger venue?
I think I'd go for Nottinghamshire, because I feel like around the area in general, I can easily, the friends that I've made through my shop would still come to that one.
Yeah.
And I think I'd just try and make it easier for them. And obviously, I've had people recommend friends come, and they've come and they've had a great time. And it's like, I want more of that. Ideally, I want more of like word of mouth, good reviews kind of thing. And I think that's the main push. Because as much as like someone's going, oh, 5-star review on like Facebook or something, they'll look at it, read it, and then be like, I could. But like if someone verbally tells them this place is great, you should go, then something just triggers in someone's brain. They're like, you know what? Yeah, I'll check it out. Like, I feel like the reviews online tend to give you like an empty sort of review, because like it's like Just Eat, when you're like, oh wow, this has 6 stars, this has 5, but it's like, yeah, but the one with 5 is infinitely cheaper, and you're low on cash, you're going to take a cheaper option. It doesn't matter about reviews at that point.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a case of that. I think it's genuinely, I'd have it somewhere still local, because I feel like there's people that I haven't reached out to in this area yet that I could fairly easily, and then welcome them into the community kind of thing.
Yeah. Dominate and conquer.
Yeah, like the Romans, just
yeah. Just with a nicer man in charge.
Yeah, no invading, just saying hello.
just leaflets through the door.
Yeah, leaflets through the door. I don't know, some people would see that as invading.
Well, that's true. So obviously, as an actual business owner, with a physical premises, how has the UK's lockdown during COVID-19 affected retro play games?
I mean, I've been shut. I think it's more of a case of, it's not affected it that massively, because obviously I managed to get the government grant, so I'm safe. But there was the first month of not knowing if I would get that or not was kind of like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Because it's like I had enough for the rent for 1 month and all the bills and stuff, because that's what I planned for. Because you never really plan for a pandemic.
No,
so
of course
it's one of those difficult things. So I was like, right, okay, let's see what happens. And obviously I was stressing, because it's like, I don't want almost 3 years of my effort to just be gone because of a pandemic, because then it would just make me feel bad. I know it's not my fault, but it's just a case of, I've gone this far, and the thing that takes me down isn't me. It's something global, which that was the looming thing. But obviously, at the moment that I found out I'm fine, I went from like on the verge of depressed Liam to like super happy Liam immediately. I was like, yep, cool. I can stop thinking about this and move on. Excellent.
Yeah, because I do remember we were having discussions during that. So I'm so pleased that it did work out for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel like if I didn't get it, I'd be like, right, I've got to go back to doing an actual job now. And I think that's not like the threat, because doing a job is, money's money. People need money. That's how the world works.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't hate it. I'd just kind of be disappointed if that had to happen. But I wouldn't be disappointed at myself. I'd just be disappointed in general.
Well, I mean, we spoke about this during the time, but there'd have been plenty of us that would have been willing to kind of help you out and keep you on your feet, dude. So you wouldn't have had to kind of worry about any of that. When do you plan on reopening? Obviously, daily briefings are kind of all over the place at the moment. We don't. It's hard, man. It's like a fucking minefield trying to navigate what they're wanting
really
to do.
is.
It was only a few days ago they were telling the more vulnerable members of society to stay until the end of June, and now suddenly they're allowed out. It feels like there's kind of no leadership happening at the moment.
I'm not going to get political, but yeah, I think I can open on the 16th. I think that's probably what I will do, but my shop isn't big enough to accommodate the 6-foot thing, so it'll just be a case of opening just so if people want to buy things, they can come in and buy it. If they just want to say hi for like 20 minutes or something, that's fine. I can make the space for that. But like, I can't run the gaming tournaments, and I probably can't keep the gaming area open because obviously the use of controllers or the use of like sticks involves using your hands. So as much as I could wash it down after like every use, it might not help. So it's like I'd rather play it safe and just do it as you can come in to buy something. Well, maybe I think it would be better if I just do it online. I think that's the plan. As in, like, you pay online, you come and get it, kind of thing. I think that's what I want to do. I think that's the safest option.
Yeah, because I'm quite surprised that you haven't thought about running any of the tournaments and stuff, kind of like using these kind of like Zoom apps or any of the things like that.
It's possible, but the thing is a lot of my players that want to do that sort of stuff, there's already options available to them, and I think they'll just be doing that anyway. But a lot of people that have taken the time off because of COVID are more so don't mind waiting because they're going to have to anyway. And I would run gaming tournaments online, but it's like sometimes you just can't control. You can't control when the internet decides to like crap out half the time. So it's like a risky situation. I think I have looked into it, but then it's like a lot of people that would probably be into it are either already doing it somewhere else or wouldn't be that interested. I think that's the spectrum, because it's like if I try and run something and then no one signs up for it, it's not that I've wasted my time. It's just the fact that that's the point when I realize, maybe this isn't the thing that people want right now. But I think as soon as I can actually open and like start running tournaments again, I'm going to see like a giant influx because people have missed it. I think that's the big one, is people will miss it and people will want it, so they'll come.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thank you for speaking about retro play games. I do hope you will be back up and running soon, because as you say, God knows people will need your shop kind of now more than ever.
Yeah, to see friends again at least.
Yeah, and that kind of sense of community that you have, I imagine a lot of people are missing right now. So I do hope that as safely as you can, obviously, because I wouldn't want you to put yourself at risk either. I do hope that you will kind of be back on good terms very soon.
I think it's going to be slow to start, but I think eventually, as I've said, the moment that I can start like doing more things with other people and like get like more than, I think 2-3 people is my limit. As long as I can get like at least over like 10 or something, I think I'll be able to fully like open it up. But obviously, it's not just my safety I'm considering like customer safety and everyone else's safety, because it's like as much as I could run a tournament, that one tournament that's got 8 players those 8 players could then go and infect like so many other people. And obviously I don't want people to come in because it's not really safe. I'd rather people play it safe.
And it's great that you kind of put your customers first. That is exactly who you are as a person.
Yeah,
that's,
it's true.
So that is brilliant. I would highly recommend your shop to all of our listeners. But for those who don't live local to Nottinghamshire, how can they support you?
I don't know. I think just sharing the word for people that because there are some people that I've met that live in like Newcastle. Them, but
Yes.
they've seen it. They've liked the page. They've done all that stuff. But if they want to support me, if you just Facebook and search for Retro Play Games Warsaw, and just pop us a like, that'd probably be fine. I'm hoping to get like a Twitter and an Instagram page sorted at some point because I want to show off my massive game collection. I'm not saying have an ego, but when it comes to gaming, I'd like to think I'm not numero uno. I'm like numero, whatever. Like a million is in Spanish, but that's what that's like. I'm like there, but not like there.
I would have taken you for a total social media man.
Do we even know each other?
Well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, I mean,
compared to me.
True. I mean, well, it depends because I do talk to a lot of people, but I don't really use Twitter. I had an Instagram for memes. I've just in a meme group chat, several of them. People just give me memes, and I'm like, this is what I got an Instagram for. But no, I've recently started using Twitter more, but it's not it's not something I post on often. I'll retweet something that someone said because it's either it's something that I feel I can get on with, or it's just something that has to be said kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if something's already been said and I don't want to say it again, I'll just retweet or something.
See, I can live without all of it, but I have Twitter purely because it's the only way to kind of keep in touch with the Japanese music community.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I am. Well, you know me, dude. I don't even have a smartphone.
Yeah, it's true, but that's the smartest decision you've ever made. I swear. Marrying your wife? Nah. No, there's no smartphone. Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Man,
I love Mary. It's fine.
No, but to be fair, not having a smartphone would be my number one achievement in life.
Honestly,
no, it wouldn't. No. But no, I don't feel I need it. But there are people out there who obviously feel quite different. You were saying you have an awesome game collection. So, firstly, retro play events and games. I'm going to include that link in the description, so everybody will kind of be able to see it, and in the show notes. So moving on to your personal taste now, you say you've got quite a large video game collection.
Yep.
What is your favourite video game console?
Ooh, I mean, you know me, man, it's Dreamcast.
Yes.
It's the Dreamcast. It's absolutely the Dreamcast. People sleep on it, and it's no, it's a fantastic system. Yes, the lack of piracy was a giant problem, but and people say that was the ship that sunk Sega, but no, the Sega Saturn was the ship that careened it towards an iceberg, and the Dreamcast was trying to patch it up mid sail.
Yeah.
And it's the Dreamcast is a fantastic system. I love it. I think it's great, but you can say I also have a soft spot for the Mega Drive and the GameCube, but it's the Dreamcast because it's one of those things. It's not many people had one, and those that didn't buy any games because they didn't need to. Which, to be fair, always never pirate games. It's bad for the industry.
I'm pretty sure I got the majority of my Dreamcast games off a Skegness Market. No, it would have been Inglemel's. It would have been Inglemel's Market. Yeah, because I do still remember it was £3 for a blank VCD because the Dreamcast never actually used DVD, even though it was available at the time. I think the thing that sunk Sega the most was the PlayStation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Sega Saturn, which I'll be honest, I loved, but I will not defend it in a fight.
I mean, the problem with the Saturn is it's you look at its games and you're yeah, it had Virtua Fighter and yeah, it had Knights, but it's name anything after that, and that isn't on a different system.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. it was kind of like a time before exclusives, and it still had nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's worse because obviously, like, I'm pretty sure like the Mega Drive has had a really long life because they kept adding to it. Rather than releasing new consoles, like, hey, we've got the Mega CD. It's like, okay, and we've got 32X. It's like, okay again. Like, I think that also didn't help because they weren't releasing new. Because obviously, then when the SNES came out, it was still Mega Drive City for Sega.
Yeah.
And obviously they responded with like Mega CDs and 32Xs, and it just wasn't enough. And then when they released the Saturn, I think it was around when the PS1 came out, but
94.
No, 94. Jesus Christ! Yeah, it was
I know.
crazy.
Yeah,
that was not a smart decision. So I don't honestly think the Saturn was. It was too late. I think that was the problem, because also then Nintendo had joined the market at that point. Well, they were already in it, but like they were like Nintendo 64, and it's like you think back to that era and you're like, do you get a PS1 or a Nintendo 64? You didn't even think about getting a Saturn. Your choices, you just thought in the back of your head, PlayStation or Nintendo 64, and then the Saturn's just sitting in the corner crying. And I really loved the Dreamcast because it had so much going for it, but the problem was the piracy. And had they have sorted that, then they might have still been in the market today. But I think the biggest respect for a man I'll ever have, I can't remember his name, and I feel like such a
the biggest amount of respect that you never knew his name.
The biggest respect, but I knew his name at one point, and it's just gone. He was like Mr. Sega. He gave like most of his money earned through Sega back into the company to keep Sega alive, and obviously they're going strong now. And that's why I have respect for him, because he could see it was dying, but then he just like rejuvenated it, and now it's still going strong.
Yeah, I mean, we speak extensively about Sega. All I think to myself is, if you were able to kind of go back and rewrite history, imagine if Sega, rather than releasing the CD, the Sega 30, what was it, the 32X?
32X, yeah.
The 32X, and yeah, the Saturn. Imagine, rather than the money it cost to make all of those, imagine if they just waited to see what Sony brought out, and then used all that money to. You could have brought the Dreamcast forward. You could have made the Dreamcast better. You could have used all of that money to actually. But I suppose it's all with hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hindsight.
They probably felt they were doing the best thing that they could at the time, and that's quite sad. But I'm right there with you, dude. Dreamcast all the way.
Yeah, it's the best choice. You can keep your NESs and SNESs. No, it's got to be the Dreamcast for me.
Isn't it strange that we also currently live in a time where Nintendo is mocked? Where Nintendo almost... It's still the powerhouse because it's a trustworthy brand, and I feel like people who support Nintendo will support Nintendo for life, even if they don't like the product. But how mental is it that Nintendo are no longer a competitor as such?
I do think that they're kind of like off on their own market, but like a lot of the time, I think they honestly keep branding the Switch as like a kid system because of like just the way it feels. And it's still, I think the thing with Nintendo is like after GameCube, they were like, let's hit them with gimmicks. Let's give them wireless motion controls. Let's do it. Let's see what that works. And that worked with the Wii. And then the Wii U, they were like, yeah, let's release the Wii U, give them a touchscreen. And it's like that one didn't work so well because they marketed it poorly. A lot of people just thought it was like an expansion to the Wii, and they were like, well, I don't need another Wii, so not many people bought it.
Yeah.
And obviously the Switch came out, and it is another gimmick, but it's fusing handheld and obviously just like a normal console, and it works. It really does work, but the marketing is definitely aimed more at less mature audiences, and I think it is good because when you've got a system that can go, do you have a small child? Buy them this, because it's the better choice. They are the only ones in that part. Like if I was trying to get like a 6-year-old into playing video games, I wouldn't suggest them a PlayStation or an Xbox One. I'd suggest them a Nintendo Switch. I think they're still in it because honestly, the quality of the games they release are good. But the two problems with the Switch, well, there's three. The first problem is the Joy-Cons, where after a while they just decide to drift, and it's no fault of the user. It's a fault on the Joy-Con itself. The second one is that when you use the dock, it can scratch the screen, and it's really annoying when you're playing the game in handheld mode, and it's like, oh, that's a new scratch. Yep, that came from the thing that the Switch shipped with. And the third thing is the price of the games. They never go down. They always stay at like peak £50. And I think a lot of parents do shy away from that, because it's like, you've just spent so much on this console, and then you bought them a game, and you want to buy them more games, but they're never going to change in price. Like, Breath of the Wild is still £50, and that game's like almost, I think it's 3 years old. I've got a copy in front of me. Let's have a look. What year do you say, sir? 3 years old. 3 years old. And it's still £50 brand new. Well, I think that's just the one thing that Nintendo have, is like, they'll always have people that like them because of the massive push that they had. But as a console itself, I still think it's a viable console, because, you know, I'm still currently playing on it. I'm still, you know, playing Animal Crossing daily. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles now. It has good games, and that's the thing. The quality of games that Nintendo releases are good, and I think that's an advantage that they have, and that's why they can still be in the market.
Yeah, I feel in some ways like Nintendo make decisions because they know that's where the money is. I mean, Nintendo never used to allow rentals of their games.
Oh no!
And I don't know if you're familiar with Animal Crossing, the new one.
Yeah.
So many people are obsessed with that.
Yeah, but, I am as well. I am one of those people.
Oh, okay. Well, fair play. But the fact that Nintendo have made it so that you and somebody else cannot start separate game saves on that Switch. For example, I mean, you know, my wife, she's playing Animal Crossing. If I decided one day that I wanted to do that, if I wanted my own island, I'd have to buy another Switch.
Yeah, that's true.
That is incredibly clever marketing, though.
Because, I don't knock them for it.
Because the truth is, the likelihood is that we have kind of like the original, the docked station Switch. But if I wanted to play that, I would most likely opt for the Lite. And so suddenly, people that maybe just kind of want to get a cheaper version to play one game are more likely to buy that version of the Switch that people mocked. So it's kind of strange. But it's clever.
Yeah, it's definitely clever marketing. They released the sorry to interrupt you, but they released the Switch Lite about the same time as Pokemon Sword and Shield, because let's be honest, Pokemon is just a money machine.
Yeah.
And it's like people that were like, I mean, I'm not just going to buy a Switch for one game. And then they were like, they released like the Switch Lite and then Pokemon, and then people were like, yep, I'm getting a Switch Lite and Pokemon. And then, you know, they spent, I think it was like, I can't remember the price of like Switch Lite. I think it was like 200 dead on, plus the game was like 50. It's 250, and then if all they're going to play is Pokemon, fair play to them. But then they did the smarter thing with Animal Crossing, where they released a special edition console, which then made people go, yes, I want this Switch. And obviously now a lot more people own a Switch because they've bought that specific edition, because Animal Crossing, I can't remember when New Leaf came out, the 3DS one. But it was, I think it may have been 2012. I'm probably wrong. I'm just taking a gamble. Sounds about right. 2012, 2014, one of those two. And it was like 6 years. And then obviously people were super, super happy when they announced that there was going to be another one. And obviously the wait was on. And then they delayed it for the health of their employees, which was fantastic, might I add. That's the one thing I like about Nintendo. They're not afraid to stall a game in case it might affect their workers. I think that is fantastic. But obviously, when they released a special edition the Nintendo Switch console, people were just like, well, I don't really want a Switch Lite anymore because they've got this one. So like, people spent more money on that Switch because it's Animal Crossing. Like they're doing marketing correctly because they've been in the game for so long. They've have so much experience and know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I suppose these are kind of related. So now, not only do you have a deep-seated passion for video games, but you're also a fellow Japanese culture fan.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Japanese culture. Most of it originally started when I was a kid and I was playing video games. I was like, oh yeah, it was made in Japan, but I really don't care because I'm just enjoying it. And then like the main branch for every single person to get into Japanese culture half the time is anime, and that's what got me there as well. But I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture.
Oh, any particular areas?
Mainly, I like genuinely like the anime side of it is something I've always kind of been interested in. And obviously, I'd like to go to Japan, but I've also looked up like the history of Japan and stuff, like going all the way back to like the warring parts, like with the different samurais and shogunates and stuff. That's my cup of tea as well, because I like learning about the past. Because you can never truly move on if you don't learn about the past. Like if you don't learn from the past of yourself, you're never going to change. And it's nice to go back. And obviously, I like the architecture of Japan. A lot of it is genuinely history and architecture, and also the music is great, and the games are great, and Japan's good.
That is a brilliant way to... The history of Japan is just phenomenal.
It's something it's always just kind of like been there. Like I got really interested into it when I played Samurai Warriors, which is a game. And they had all the stuff for like about Nobunaga Oda, and then like Hideyoshi Toyotomi and all of the big names for that area. And then immediately my like 13, 14-year-old brain went, well, this is interesting, I'm going to read up on this. And then I read up on it and I was like, damn, this is great. So like I've always like had a soft spot for like most things samurai, because genuinely the game that got me into it is great, but I like the game more because it got me into the history of Japan.
Yeah. You have attended Japanese music events, but with a twist. So you have attended quite a few Japanese video game music events.
Yeah, they're kind of my thing. I love Japanese video game music. I love Japanese composers, because I think I do love some Western composers as well. Like like the ones for N64, like Grant Kirkhope, or like David Wise, who did Donkey Kong Country. All of that stuff is great. But like the big ones for me are obviously like Final Fantasy. Sonic was the one I went to recently in December.
That was Sonic Adventure, am I right?
Sonic Adventure music experience, and it was honestly just so much fun to be in a room with other people who share the same passion as you and just jam, because it's just so fun. Like you don't expect it, and then you've got Jun coming up on stage, and I'm just there like to the guy who I've just met, who's also called Liam, but we didn't know till the show was over. We were just like, I was like, if you play Skyrail, I'm going for it. And then like the fourth song was Skyrail from Sonic Adventure 2, and I just went in. I'm like, yeah, that's it, that's my song, And then it was, and that's
my jam.
That was great. I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, I love going. And obviously, I went to Distant Worlds as well. The Japanese gaming things, it's slightly been like, it's only been a more recent thing, because I've opened up to like a lot more friends that are also willing to go to them.
Yeah.
So I'll try my best to go with them. But yeah, I love Japanese video game music, Japanese music in general. I think if there's like, and there's like, so Hideki Naganuma is on Twitter, and he's the guy who did the soundtrack for Jet Set Radio and Sonic Rush.
Yeah.
And he is an absolute meme lord. If you are not following him, go and check him out. He's currently like in this like Family Guy, Cleveland Brown-esque like era that I like to call it, and he's just learned what the word mate means.
No way.
And then he replied to his own tweet with, "This is great," with an A, and I'm like, oh my god, Hideki, what are you doing, bro? I love Hideki. He's great, and his music's fantastic as well.
Do you have a favorite classical score?
As in, because like I could say like Tchaikovsky, but like
well, it was totally up to you. I was mainly thinking kind of in the ways of like Distant Worlds and the Sonic Adventure.
Oh, okay. I think for like, it depends on the score, because I think there are games that I'll listen to, soundtracks I'll listen to over and over again. Like I'll listen to Final Fantasy VI's soundtrack all over again. Like all the Sonics, I'll listen to over and over again because I'm a huge fan. Genuinely, like most of the time, whenever I want to sit down and listen to like some epic music that's been orchestrated to almost perfection, because nothing's perfect, apart from Final Fantasy VI. But anything with a JRPG really does it for me. And honestly, Shenmue's music also does it for me. That game is that soundtrack so good.
I want the Shenhua's song playing at my funeral.
Oh, dude!
I've made that official on the will.
Oh man,
that will be it. So you'll have to be there.
Honestly, I will. I'll probably be the one like crying, like humming along to it, like just in tears, like no.
Yeah, crying for Shenmue, but not me.
No, crying for you, man. Don't you worry, mate.
We spoke before we started recording this. I know you're not You're not too familiar with the whole idol scene and stuff. But
I am not. You've recently introduced me to some idol bands, and I have given them a listen. I do like them. I'm not gonna shake them. Like there are a lot of people that like don't like it because it's like, oh, they're all girls. It's like, well, what's the problem? It's good music.
I think. I mean, I can't remember who I was discussing this with, but I think there's almost it's almost seen as a bit of a taboo because it's like if you're a guy and you're watching it, there's got to be some kind of sexual thing to it, but it's not, but I think it's kind of looked down on. But what I was going to say was, I know that not necessarily just idol music. I know that we've kind of been talking through recommendations and stuff. I know that you have a love for Japanese music that kind of comes from your time of having watched anime and things like that. So the question that I would ask is, if you could go to an upcoming Japanese music show, who would you most want to see?
Oh, this is really difficult because there's like a few favorites that like I would love to see, but I think right now, currently, I'm in a really big like Canaboon hype.
Canaboon.
I honestly, I'd also like to see Nekri as well, because I sent you a link to the video that had both. I can't remember their names, but it was the lead singer of Canaboon and the lead singer of Nekri, and they did the cover of one of Canaboon's songs. I can't remember the name of. Oh, #FakeFan. But yeah, they did the cover for the first take, and I loved that arrangement so much. And obviously, I went back and I'd heard from Canaboon originally from the Naruto opening Silhouette. Well, their song Silhouette, which was used as a Naruto opening, should I say. And so I got into them from there. And then they recently did another song for My Hero Academia, and I kind of got into that one. But they're just like a solid band that like I'll listen to their songs and I'll be like, yeah, this is something I'll always listen to. I think it's like similar to like early day Linkin Park or like just Tenacious D in general, because they're just hilarious. But like, I think Canaboon is one of those things that I will just I listen to once and then I just click immediately, and I was like, yeah, this is my jam. So I would definitely love to see Canaboon live. I think
that would be so cool.
I'd love it.
Now, if everything that we've spoken about already wasn't enough, you also have somewhat of an honorary title to a particular community. You are known as a Warrior of Light.
Just call me Liam.
So to any listener who doesn't know what that is and doesn't understand the meaning behind that, please explain what a Warrior of Light is.
A Warrior of Light is someone they'll just give a title to for no specific reason.
Be honest.
So the KupoCon do an award ceremony at the end of every event they do. And they pick one person in the community that they feel is a shining example, that that like emphasizes the community. And for Free Pom, they usually like a massive ceremony, and it's like normally I'm like no tears, but well, apart from Pomex, then obviously that one was big. That was a big tear fest. But then they do a thing where they get everyone to stand up. And then they slowly say things, and then eventually it gets to a point. And I remember thinking, I was stood up, I was there, and there was obviously there's people that have been to most of them, like you've got Dave and Robin, directly in front of me, and I'm like, I can see it being them. And then I'm just sitting there chilling, not having any realization it could be literally anyone. And then you just hear your name, and your face goes from to excuse me what, and I just I went immediately. I was just tears. I went from straight face to tears immediately. It was a crazy transition. But yeah, it was honestly, it is a great award to get, because it's basically like keep being you. You're awesome, and it's nice to. Well, and other people obviously think I'm awesome, but it's nice to it's above my desk. So every time I look up, I can see it, and it's a nice reminder of yeah, you're great, keep it up, and it's always something that's damn, I was having a bad day, but now I'm all good, kind of thing. It's a heartwarming thing to see, and obviously it was very heartwarming to achieve. I will never hear any person scream, a group of people scream that loud when my name was shouted out. That was the biggest shock. It's name, and then just the heart wrenching yeses from the crowd. And I'm like, nope, that's it. I am gone. That was an amazing moment. But yeah,
dude, the room was electric. I mean, when that happened, it was kind of like all bets were off. It was amazing. The follow up would be, what does KupoCon mean to you? So to anybody that doesn't know what KupoCon is, it is how would you explain what Alex has done?
It's
because I want to say it's a fan made, and I suppose it is, but when ideas of when something is fan made, you always kind of assume it's amateur, and it's not amateur in any way. So how would you explain that?
Well, it is definitely a fan-made Final Fantasy event that was made by fans for the fans. But I think it's odd because most other convention things I go to, there's not this thing of family, because I think it's so small that you see a lot of familiar faces. And with the familiar faces that you see, it's if you don't see someone there, you'll be like, oh, what? I wonder why they aren't here, kind of thing. It's like if you bonded with a cousin when you're a kid, and then suddenly they don't show up to your house for every Christmas or whatever, and you then oh, what's going on? That kind of thing. I think it's just a massive community. I think it's because when you gather nerds in a room, and then they get to express themselves, but they know they can express themselves. It opens up a giant. It's like a giant hug, essentially. So you come in, and it's you feel like you've already been welcomed, and it could be your first event. You can just be it's one of those events that is fun from start to finish. It's filled with fantastic panels, and it's all great. Alex is a fantastic man. So is Alan, his partner in crime, and both of them have created some sort of. It's just a family from people that just like the same game series, and it's something that's a massive achievement. It's crazy.
So, as a regular attendee of KupoCon, but certainly not an authority of it, that I'll be honest, my knowledge of Final Fantasy is minute. I'm normally the guy, as you know, stood at the bar on the Friday night.
Yep, it's it's you and Gary are the two people that well, I'm not really a huge fan, but my wife likes it, so yeah, I guess I'm here. But you've made friends from KupoCon. Obviously, you've met me, you've met Gary, you've met Kaylee, Shannon, Rachel. You've met a plethora of people, and I think the mountains, of course. Gary and Andy, can't forget those boys. They
Dave and Lisa.
Dave and Lisa. Yep.
The community around KupoCon is one of the greatest communities I've ever known. And
I think it is honestly the greatest community I've ever known. And my shop has a massive community, but I think what outranks it is KupoCon. It's mental. It's crazy how an entire game series has somehow managed to create a giant family just on the actions of two people. It's crazy.
Yeah. And as for you, I could not think of a better guy to receive that award. You are one of the kindest. Listen. You are one of the kindest, nicest dudes I've ever met. You're always quick to offer support and help to anybody that needs it. You hate the idea of anybody being alone, and I'm glad that you are recognised for those qualities.
I'll cry after this is done. But thank you very much, man.
You can pay.
It does mean a lot.
You can pay me for saying that after the show.
Yeah. How much do you want again? Was it 20 boys? I can't remember.
But no, mate. Honestly, I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished. So,
thank you.
I want to ask, what would you say to somebody who may be inspired by your personal journey?
Get a better hero. No, I think if someone's inspired by my journey, or they just hear this and think, you know what, I should do that. I think it's good. I think even if if I'm someone that's sparked a change in someone, I mean, even if it doesn't work out, it's nice to know that somebody has seen my story and gone, you know what, that could be me, and just sort of gone with it. And it might not work out for them. It could work out for them greatly. And I don't want any thanks for it. Like it's a thankless role. Like if someone's gone, oh, this Liam's guy's pretty cool. He's inspired me to do my own thing, and it's like, you know, it's just congratulations. I'm glad that, you know, you've been able to break your own sort of like feelings on it and just go for it. Like I'm a very kind of, I used to be a very conserved guy, and then like I got older and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Every opportunity that arises, I'm just going to go for it, because there's like a lot of stuff that, like, obviously regrets are regrets, and I think everyone has them. But if you take a chance, if you miss out on a chance you could have taken, then your life at that moment is then very different, because that path could have been a path that you needed, but you won't realize. I'm not saying take all the chances you get, but if you get an amazing opportunity and it's right in front of you, and unless it's an email from a Ugandan warlord that could give you money, or some prints or something, then, you know, take it. Just grab it and go for it. I think going for it is the biggest thing I've done in my life, and it's the thing that's impacted it the most.
I'm going to congratulate you on everything that you have done.
I'm going to congratulate you on deciding to do a podcast, I think, and obviously being a great human being. It takes heart, Matt, to be a nice person. People don't realise it, and I think you've got a lot of heart.
Well, thank you very much, man. That means a lot. And if it wasn't for people like you, I probably wouldn't be able to, you know, look at things in that particular way, man. It's only through support from people such as yourself that kind of encourages me to want to offer that support back. So, but thank you very much. It means a lot to know that you feel that way. So now I want to ask you some situational questions. Is that okay?
That's fine. Go nuts. I'm ready.
Okay. This isn't one of the questions, but just so our listeners know, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Bailey's because it's a good drink, and it mainly comes from my crippling passion for the Mighty Boosh. Yeah, I love Bailey's. It's a drink I'll drink. It's like my go-to spirit is Bailey's, but the problem with drink, I can drink like an entire bottle of whiskey and be okay, but for some strange reason I drink an entire bottle of Bailey's and I'm gone. So it's like, it's a nice drink to have because it's not too sweet. It's nice. It's just something to have. What are you drinking, Matt?
After how beautifully and eloquent you've just put that, I'm just drinking Budweiser, which
that's fine. Nothing wrong with it.
Is quite lame in comparison. I can say I have definitely seen you drink your fair share of whiskey.
Put them
as I was slowly slumping to the floor in Glasgow.
Oh yeah, I was still going. I was surprised. I was electric till like 5 a.m.
Oh, I was not. I was like a bag of potatoes by like 2 a.m. So first question. Would you rather live in a sailboat for the rest of your life or a caravan?
Caravan, because you don't pay council tax.
Excellent way of thinking.
No, honestly, I think I'd prefer a caravan just because it's nice to get out there. And as much as a sailboat's great, you're just going to get bored of looking at the ocean.
Okay.
Well, links.
Next question. Would you rather get tipsy from one sip of alcohol or never get drunk no matter how much you drank?
I mean, we already know the answer. You already know the answer.
Dude, you're like over 6 foot. You probably never get drunk anyway. Yeah.
I mean, I have hit the point. If getting shirtless and throwing and literally like yeeting my water across to like the next table isn't enough to say I'm drunk, then yeah, I do get drunk, but it takes a hell of a lot. But yeah, I feel the problem with the second one is I wouldn't know when to stop drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
But I think if I want to carry on having fun at Cooper cons, I think I'd take the second answer.
Good man. Third question. Would you rather not be able to open any closed doors or not be able to close any open doors?
Oh, this one. if I wasn't able to open doors, I mean, how the hell am I going to get to my shop if I can't open a door?
That's true. That is true.
I think I've got to take the first one. I mean, the second one, I'll just ask someone to close it. I mean, it'd be an absolute nightmare though, because I'm not like, I haven't got like OCD, but like if I see like a plug that's still turned on, I'll switch it off. If I see a door that's open, I'll probably close it, kind of thing. It's horrible. I think I'd have to take the first one for the sake of my business, but the OCD in me is like, oh, don't answer this question.
So the answer is you'd rather not be able to close any open doors.
Yeah, I'd rather not be able to close any because I need to open closed doors.
Good man. Okay. If you had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh God. This is difficult because obviously I listen to so much music, but like, oh man.
It doesn't have to be like a commitment for life, but if you had
it's true.
You know, otherwise, well, everybody would be having like the first Blink 182 or My Chemical Romance song they heard, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would actually.
For the rest of their life.
This is my anthem. It's like, is it though? Yeah, but I don't really know. I don't know. I think if it's anything like Restless have, I'd like music that's specifically crafted to me and like my personality. So something that's like kind of bouncy but also kind of serious, because obviously you see me and you're like, oh no, but then you get to know me, you're like, oh, this guy's great. I think that's the music I would go for. You're
a very approachable bloke, even physically.
Yeah, I know.
You're just very tall.
That's the yeah, but it's like if someone took like, I assume you've seen like JoJo's memes. Like
yes.
The whole yeah. So like the whole menacing thing is like if you just put that like next to me, but like just because I'm tall, it's fine. But like if I'm around people, you can see like I honestly think I like do have like this sort of happiness about me. Like if I'm talking to someone, I'll listen to them, and then obviously if I'm having a good time, I'm gonna smile, and I think it's the smile that does it. And I'm not really a very closed off person. So it's like if someone came up to me and was like, hey, could you help me do this thing? I'm like, yep, sure, absolutely, I don't mind. I think it's I'm a very approachable person, but I feel like there are some people that don't approach me because I am quite a menacing figure. Because there are people that are like under 5 foot that are like, he is too tall, and then they'll just not bother. But yeah, I think if I did have like a music track, it would have to be something that reflects me. Like a wrestler would, but it wouldn't change every 3 months like most wrestlers do.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable, dude. If you close down retro games, what job would you want to do instead?
Oh, Jesus Christ, this is like the hardest question.
Don't feel you have to answer it if you can't. Think
no, I think I can come up with something. I don't really know, but I think I'd probably try and like go back into streaming. I think that'd be like my ideal thing, because I am a person that likes to talk about certain subjects, because it's like I like to let people know what I think of things, but not like aggressively, kind of like that sort of like aggression. It's more like a peaceful kind of, yeah, it's like, yeah, I understand why you like this, but I prefer this is why, kind of thing. And I'll listen to, if someone's like, oh, I don't like this because this, I'm like, yeah, that's fair, man, I'll listen to them about it. But I think I would probably either try and go back to streaming, or I don't know, probably try and work in another game store. I think that's probably what I'd try and go for. I mean, I've ran a place for 3 years. I'm pretty sure a lot of places would be like, yep, he seems good. So I might, I'd probably end up doing that. I think logically would be trying to work in another game store, but like the more like dream one would be to do streaming.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to wrap up shortly, but just before we do, I want to ask you this question.
Right. Who
has had the biggest impact on your life?
That would be probably my grandfather. My grandfather, Thomas Mountney. This was a man who, when racism was massive back in like the 30s, 40s, he would refuse to go along with it. Like he'd refuse it. And I think it takes absolute gigantic balls to not stay with the current and just do what you think is right. And I think that's the biggest inspiration I've ever had, is my grandfather.
Liam, it has been a genuine pleasure having you on the show. I'm so glad.
Absolute pleasure being on it.
I'm so glad we were able to make it happen. I know you are a busy guy. I would
mean,
like
not so much right now, but yeah,
no. But even in terms of the gaming and the raids and stuff, I feel bad having peeled you off of Final Fantasy 14.
Oh no, please do. I've had so many hours on that game, just sitting there. Like, I'll be sitting there, like, yeah, I'll start playing at like 12, and it'll get to like 8 a.m., 8 p.m., and I'm like, I've played this for 8 hours. Oh my god! And it's like, I understand that's the draw of an MMO, but it's like, when you've done it, like, my time was like 200 and something hours. I've played it for 3 months, and it's now at 633. And it's like, this is nuts. I've played 400 hours in 3 months. Are you kidding me? How is that even possible? It's so nutty. So yeah, and honestly, anytime you want to chat about anything, or if you want to do another episode of this or something, I don't mind. Just drag me out of anything. Just be like, hey, let's chat, and I'll be like, oh, please. Like, it's just like.
Trust me, you will 100% be back on this show. I definitely hope to at some point get all our previous guests back on to kind of see how things have changed and maybe have a bit more of a more relaxed, chill time.
Maybe by then I might have gone off Cannaboom, but don't expect it.
I will make sure I ask that next time then.
Yeah, and it'll probably still be Cannaboom, but we'll see. We'll see if any of the bands have popped up.
Just remind me, Retro Play Games has a Facebook page. Can you just repeat what that is for the audience?
Let me just find it first. I'm pretty sure it's www.facebook.com/ I think it's Retro Play Events, so it's all one word, because that's what it used to be before I changed it to Retro Play Games, because I used to do the streaming stuff.
Yeah.
But if you search for that, you should be able to find it. If you ever want anything, like, if anyone wants anything like gaming related, if they just pop a message on the Facebook page, I'll just respond to it, because it's good to do. But if you like, oh, do you have this? I'm like, yep. And then obviously we'll sort something out, and I'll try and get it to you as cheaply as possible. Obviously, like, as long as it's like good to me. Like, if you're like, oh, do you have a copy of Castlevania Symphony Night? It's like, oh, I might do. I'll give you tenner for it. It's like, no. But like, that's the thing, is like, I'm open to get you something, anyone something, if they need it or if they want it.
That is excellent, dude, and thank you for providing that service. And yeah, be reasonable, folks. I will include those links in the show notes.
Awesome.
Liam, thank you again. When it does come time to reopen your shop, I do hope that you will be safe. I hope that everything kind of gets moving again for you productively, and I hope that it's something that you can kind of continue your passion for. So take care and stay safe throughout everything. I do look forward to seeing you again. I look forward to seeing you soon for a socially distanced responsible beer, as always.
Yes. Socially distanced responsible beer. That's a great way to describe it. I love that. Responsible beer.
But I do look forward to better times, and I'm excited to kind of. We'll meet up before the next KupoCon anyway, but I do always look forward to those, because we do get to spend great time at those. So, Liam, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Matt. It's great, and hopefully you stay safe as well. You and Perry. Hopefully that you even, I think you've kept going to work, right?
Yes.
I think has Perry, or has she been furloughed?
She's been working from home.
Okay,
so to be fair, we've not been too bad. It's mainly just hoping that everybody else in the family is. But it'll work out, buddy. It'll be
it will work out. Yeah.
Well, maybe if another government was sorting it out, but that's for another time.
We don't know. That's for another time. That's for your new podcast, Politics, the Politics podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Liam Jarvis, business owner of Retro Play Games. You can visit his shop on 39B High Street, Warsaw, November Golf 20 0 Alpha Echo. He has been awesome as always, and if you have stayed up until the end, then you're awesome too. Join us again next week on this randomly released schedule I've been running so far. Until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and share this podcast with people you love.
I'm one of those guys that would normally struggle, but then like my big giant galaxy brain kicks in and goes, this answer, and I'm like, but why brain? And it's like, this is why, and I'm like, okay, I'll just say it. Like,
trust that'd be a great t-shirt. Trust the galaxy brain.
Trust the galaxy brain.
Everybody Everybody needs a galaxy brain.
That's true, actually. There's like two coins. There's the gremlin brain, which you should never trust, and the galaxy brain, which you should always trust.
That is beautiful. I might even add that after the end of the podcast.
Or just like an inspirational quote section.
Yeah.
always trust in the galaxy brain. Never believe the gremlin brain.
Never follow the gremlin brain.